Welcome to another Euro Aussie dollar cross pair update. Okay, so if you saw my previous idea, I had this wave one down here, but as you know, I like to go in close on the waves. So after reviewing that, I got this other interpretation, which is a small wave one with an expanded wave two. Okay, so a lot of the times with the waves, and this is something that is pretty important for people who don't really understand the waves, is that corrections expand sometimes quite a bit. So in this case, if you have a look at this wave one, it started up here. So if you remember, I said back here when this wave was happening that, I'm bearish even though it was going up. And, sometimes waves do go up. Like, for example, I said this was going to go down from here, but it went up here, but I was still bearish, right? It doesn't matter if short term the wave doesn't turn down straight away, right? But it's all about the larger picture, right? So it's easy for me to be wrong with the waves because the waves are complex and they're unfolding, and you are predicting the future, right? So it's not like I know exactly what's going to happen, but I'm using the previous waves to determine the future waves. Okay. So I am going to spot differences along the way, and I will update you on them, right? And you probably be hard pressed to find someone who's constantly updating you on the waves, even if they're wrong. I don't care if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, good, right? Because it just goes to show that I'm keen on just re-updating, wave revision every time I see a change, right? But as you know, with this idea, it did actually start moving exactly the way that I said it would, right? It started moving down from here. So you'd be in profit if you followed that trade. Okay, so my attempt from that point on was to help you lower your stop, which, by the way, I still think that it's a valid count, right? So we have wave one here, A, B, C, D, and this is the E, right? So yes, it did expand. Wave two went from here to here, okay? Now I'm not going to bother labeling that at this point because as far as I'm concerned, wave two ends here, and then we have another wave one. So at this point, I'm just going to zoom in lower to a lower degree, and I'll just take these off for a sec. Here we have a wave one, okay? And then we have an A, B, C, D, E, or it could be A, B, C, D, E. Now, it's not always easy to interpret the waves, especially when they're extremely choppy, right? Which is why I think it's absolutely pathetic when people criticize, oh, you don't know the waves, or blah, 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 whatever crap they talk, right? The waves, they're not easy to determine a lot of the times. So to me, talk is just talk. It doesn't mean anything, right? I'm always very keen to share my view of the waves, and the people who like knowing my view are the ones who enjoy it. The others, whatever, go watch someone else. I don't care. So here we have wave one, and you could look at it as 33535 or 33535. I'd be going more for the 33535 interpretation, and the reason for that is because of this move here looks more like a three-wave move. And now, if you know what AriasWave is, I talk about these three-wave moves. If they have a clean three-wave move in between, it's not actually a corrective zigzag, right? It's just that the D's in there, and then you've got the E. So technically, the break of the new trend would have been there, right, at that point. Okay, so no matter how you want to look at it, either way, we're moving lower. So at the end of the day, that doesn't matter to me right now because we've already moved lower. Okay, so here, my interpretation is that's a 1, A, B, C, D, E. right? So at this point in time, this E wave, this is a 5-wave move. It's a weak 5-wave move, right? To go in even lower, what I see is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for an E. Now, obviously, we need to break this particular low to confirm that, right? Which is why I had the idea earlier with a higher stop, okay, from this point, right? So that's for safety until we have a break of this low, and then the stop can be moved down here to that point. Because I see this as a leading diagonal with a 3, 3, 5, 3, 5. I think that's right. 3, 3, 3, 5. Actually, I think there's 3. It's there. It's just there. So I would have to move it yet again. A new level of resistance right there. And then you've got this move down, which looks to be in 5 waves. So obviously a break of this low will confirm that, and then this will be the resistance point. So that's fine. I mean, I'm just going to wait for that. As we know, the moves can start off pretty choppy, especially with the cross pairs. And in particular, this cross pair, right? You can see where we came from, okay? Like if you go back in time, right? Once we had this move here to end wave 2, you saw how choppy that was, right? It was very easy to assume that that was going to continue higher, right? And you can see that the wave 1 was short there too, right? And then we had the 3, 3, 5, right? 3, 3, 5, and then 3, 5. Okay, so look how small the wave 1 was. Okay, so at this point in time, if you're like around this area and you see this, you might think, okay, that's a zigzag and we're going higher, but obviously it wasn't right. And I had you short on this, and even though it later came to bounce back, I put out a video saying that this is still short. I'm still short on this. I'm still bearish, right? So it's not that I'm trying to be 100% right on the moves when I'm putting out ideas that aren't short ideas, right? Like the one I did before. It's basically a lot of people like to misinterpret my ideas. Tracking minor waves is not a short idea. Tracking minor waves is basically I'm just trying to track them to see what they are. I could be wrong, it could be right. Okay, when I put a short idea out, that means that, you know, I have a level of confidence that I can say, yeah, sure, we're short, right? And if it turns out to be wrong, whatever. In this case, you know, the move went down, but it came back. So it's a good idea to then now look for the next subdivision of the next 5-wave move down. So that's what the attempt here is to do. And you can see that once again, wave 1 is short, right? Wave 1 is short, and then we're getting this 1, 2 scenario. And then if you go down to the lower time frame, you can see again, wave 1 is short again, right? Right there, wave 1 is short. What can I do about it, right? You can see that this pattern is the same pattern that we saw up there, right? Where wave 1 is short and then it starts to move lower, okay? Wave 1s aren't always a big, nice 5-wave straight 5-wave move that you can see beautifully, and then you wait for a little pullback before you trade it. The waves don't work like that. And that's what a lot of people who follow AriasWave don't understand, right? That's why they just number anything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just because they can count to 5, they think that they're experts, right? So that's my problem with those kind of people, which, you know, to me, they're just fucking clueless, to be honest. But they just love to open their mouths and criticize other people just because they have no idea what they're talking about. So this is just something that I understand. A lot of people don't understand the waves, and I am not saying that I am perfect with the waves. I just understand that you can be wrong, and you should be allowed to be wrong. But when you're right, you're right. You're wrong, you're wrong. Hey, you wave revision it. Big deal. I'm the personality that's presenting the waves. You like it, you don't like it, I'll put it out there for you. So at the moment, we need to see a break of this low in order to move our stop down here right now. So it's absolutely wonderful that we've got to this point where we can, basically prepare to get into the meat of the move, right? So if you go to the daily chart once again, let's recap on what we're looking at here, okay? So now let me just recap on this. This is a B wave, like where Bitcoin is now, all right? I've said this many times before. This is where Bitcoin is now, a B wave. We saw a C wave down. Then we saw a D wave. And what are we going to see next? An E wave. That's what we're trading now. We're trading the E wave, okay? So all in all, this is getting ready to move lower, right? What's the most common pattern in markets? To zigzag, right? What are all the patterns you'll ever find in a market? 5-wave moves and zigzags. And you know what? 5-wave moves are also part of zigzags. Sometimes zigzags are actual zigzags in terms of the AriasWave zigzag, and sometimes zigzags can be this kind of zigzag where they are basically a 5-wave move with a zigzag in it and then a 5-wave move. But you need to understand what AriasWave is in order to know what I'm talking about. But to those who have no idea what AriasWave is, they cannot comment on it because they have no idea. You can't comment on something you have no idea about. That's just the way I see it. And as you know, I created AriasWave, and that's why people like listening to me. Simple as that. So where are we now? Basically at the same point we were, right? So if you step back in time and have a look at, now I'm going to turn these back on. Right here, that move there, we're at the same point where that, in fractal terms, that move right there, I'll make it blue and this one blue, right? In terms of fractal patterns, we're at the same point here, same point there, CDE, CDE, okay? So as a move progresses and it becomes more impulsive, right? Which, if you go to the higher time frames, impulsive moves look different than when you zoom in, right? Because this is a large degree impulsive move. So obviously, as you zoom in, it's not all going to be all lovely and sharp, right? Markets don't move in straight lines. So you're going to see these CDE patterns get smaller, right? But they all share similar characteristics, right? You see a lot of similar character traits of the waves, wave personality, I think they call it. As you progress into the sharper move, you see them getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? For example, if I zoom in even more, that CDE pattern that you see there, or if I go down to this time frame here, right? You go 1, A, B, C, D, E. So now, instead of being a CDE like that, the CDE is stretching to the downside because now the market is pulling it down faster that it doesn't do this CDE type pattern. So now the bottom of C is here and the E is there. So can you see it's sort of starting to, sorry, I'll just turn this there. Right, it's starting to get steeper, right? So that's how I like to look at the markets. You go from being more upright to then basically becoming more steeper, and eventually the market starts moving lower, right? So in the case down here, this is even smaller time frame. You go to the minute chart, for example, right? And you've got 1, A, B, C, D, E, right? So right now, again, it's it's still kind of flat. And then what does that mean? 1, 3, 3, 5, 3, 5. Okay. Let's have a look. Let's zoom in a bit more. I like going down lower because I like the waves. So to me, it's 3, 3, 5, 3, 5. You can see it there. Does that mean that this is resistance? Probably. I would say so. Right there. All right. So then we look closer. You can see the CDE, right? You can see three wave move there. Is it? Which one is higher? Right? Which one is higher? Right? They're pretty close, right? Yeah, that one's slightly higher, but they're pretty close. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that's a zigzag there. So CDE, and then 1, 3, 3, 5, 3, and then you got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 happening. So it can't go above this line here, right? That's how I look for waves. Using AriasWave, I can go down to the low degree and expect this kind of action, right? So this is why I say people that don't know the waves properly, they can talk all they want, but they're living in Elliott land, and when people see something they don't understand, they love to criticize it because they don't understand it, right? It's like racism. It's a form of racism, except it's about the waves. It's about someone's knowledge. It's about, you know what I mean? Like it's not exactly racism, but it's like, oh, I see something I don't understand, so I'm going to criticize it. Now this is interesting. As I'm talking, this move just jumped up, right? Let's have a look at this. It jumped up and it hit that line. See that? What does that mean? Oh, it means he's wrong. Absolutely, it means he's wrong because it went above that line. When you go to the small time frames, right? It's not always perfect, right? You're not always going to be spot on exacto, okay? You're allowed to be wrong, okay? That's what I'm talking about, right? And then I go back and wave review it. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, that happened. That invalidated me just then. That's a good example. So now what? What do I do? So 1, 3, 3, 5. So this is 3, 5. So 3, 3, 5, 3, 5. Let's have a look. There you go. So it is getting steeper, lower. Steeper, yeah. So here we had this one that was like, it was like that, starting to flatten out like that. Now that one's starting to go down like that now because I got the count wrong. Such a small degree, right? It's harder to do. So that's 3, 3, 5, 3, 5. So the C started there and the E ended there, which means that's a 1. That's 1A, B, that's C, right? So resistance is actually here, right? Like that. Get it? Not there. I just did a wave revision right in front of you. Was it a big deal? No. Right? That means that's another small wave 1. It broke the start of wave E. You had a 3, 3, 5. Now, are we doing a CDE pattern again? We are. We probably are doing a CDE pattern, right? So am I going to have a heart attack over that? No, I was wrong. So what? Let's see a break of this low, 1.57134, and see if I was wrong, right? It's just the waves, man. Get over it.